Hey everyone, it's Riley here, and in this quick video, I want to talk to you about how to make ideas work for you. So this is a question that was asked by Safwan here on our coaching call, and some of the things that he shared with me that we're going to cover in this video is how to define your brand, how to identify a good idea, and how to still like an artist. And those are the three things that are going to help you to make ideas that work for you so that you can be able to make videos that get more views, drive more revenue, attract a bigger audience, so on and so forth. So, Safwan, if you could talk more about what you were going to share with me shortly before I started this video, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So, like I said, my main struggle was that whenever I look around in my own niche, there are a lot of ideas, a lot of things that are working for people getting views. But I don't really know how to use that same concept and apply it for the channels that I'm working on so that we can produce the same content. Like, I feel that the things that we're doing on our channel don't really fit in with those things that people are doing, which are working for them. But I've seen you like take inspiration from those ideas and kind of mold them to work for us. So like, I want to know how do you do it? Like, look at a good idea and take inspiration from it and mold it to something that would work for us.
Yeah. And the creator that you are working with that you want to get help with specifically is Grim.
Yeah.
So I've got his channel pulled up here. And what we want to first do, this is going to really help you, is to define your brand. So let's use Grim as the example. He is a Valorant content creator. So I'll just write these things out as we talk about them. He is known for playing Sage and using funny walls, right? He is a
Yeah.
Radiant level player that, let's just say he has good aim, because I think that's one thing that he's distinguished for some way. Radiant level player with good aim, which adds to the appeal. These are kind of the important things about Grim. We could also say that Grim does like to win, but mostly plays for fun. I think that's an important distinction. He is energetic. I don't know how to spell energetic. Dude, I forgot how to spell. He is energetic and routinely, I should say, but also routinely called chill by his audience. So I think this all kind of defines his brand. And we've been working with Grim for a long time, so I can say these things with a certain level of confidence and feel as though they're good. But for yourself or anyone else that you're working with, Safwan, this is how you want to go about the first step is you need to know what your channel is and what it stands for and kind of the overall vibe. So just from a high level, Grim is a content creator. He's not a pro player. He's a content creator. Plays Sage. He uses the walls. He's also a very good player, but he likes to play for fun and just kind of some insight into his personality. Said he's energetic, but also chill at the same time. So this is important because when we're looking for good ideas in the next step, we want to look at people that are Valorant content creators that are also good at the game, but mostly want to have fun because their content is going to be appealing to the same type of audience. So if we go look at audiences where it is people that are super serious about the game, that are pro level, that don't have any fun when they play the game, it's going to be harder to glean insights off of them because they're not similar to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just to kind of solidify what I'm saying here is another guy that I've worked with, Candy here. Very similar situation. Like when I would do this type of thing for him is try to make ideas work for his channel. Is he kind of calls himself the normal player. he doesn't consider himself to be the best at the game. He doesn't take the game too serious. He's not a pro, those kind of things. But he does like to do challenge videos and he does like to have fun and he does like to tell stories. So, whenever you're looking for ideas, you want to find content creators that are similar to this. So, I'll show you an idea super quick here that I helped him produce a video for. It's called Every Kill Equals Worst Keyboard. So, I got this idea from the Fortnite niche because the guys in the Fortnite niche are very similar to him. They like to have fun, they like to challenge themselves, but they're not pro level. So you can see here like how many videos that people have done in the Fortnite niche that are similar to this. No one had done it in Apex yet. So I took that idea because it was similar to him and I just made it work for him straight up. No one had done it before. These guys are very similar in brand, so it works. Are you seeing kind of the connection there about why it might be good to define the brand first?
Yeah,
So as it relates to Grim, there's a lot of high-level Radiant players in his game that are creating Valorant content, but they don't play Sage and they don't use walls. That was another important focal point of his brand, right?
yeah, yeah,
So that there's a little bit of more nuance that we can dive into, and what it's going to show you is how to kind of look at the high level of like what kind of content this is, but also the intricacies of like he is very similar to all these people, but how do you take these things and make them apply to this very specific niche, which is Sage? So, all that said, we're going to dive into how to identify a good idea. And the best way to go about this, I think, is for us to take a look at some ideas and kind of do this live. So, as long as that's good with you, we can. I'm going to pull up the Valorant subscription account and kind of go through this with you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're going to start in Valorant, and what you will notice about the Candy Roo example is that I went to Fortnite. So Apex and Fortnite are similar games, and the content creators in Fortnite are much more like Candy Roo. And the reason that I looked at Fortnite is because a lot of the content creators in Apex are actually not like Candy. So I found more similarities in the Fortnite audience than I did in the Apex audience. That's a really important thing. If you can find content creators that are similar to yours in other niches, there's a higher probability that their ideas haven't been done in your game, and it might be a bigger opportunity. So we'll do that with Grim. But first, I want to start in his game because a lot of content creators are very similar to him. So we're going to look through some of these videos and we'll just kind of go through it on a more casual basis. And if you have any things that you want to say, any videos that you want to point out as we go through this one, please just say so.
Yeah, yeah.
So it looks like the Splash X skin came out somewhat recently. Is it worth it? I think Kami did a video on this, but kind of continue here. Tins in a spas, doing some ranked stuff. Or he's doing another smurfing challenge. You can see Muda's trying to win a game with 30 FPS, so he's doing like a low FPS challenge. It's pretty cool. See how that one fares. It's got 25,000 views in 16 hours. Perfect Valorant player. This one's interesting because it's got a Giga Chad jet, which is kind of interesting. Yay versus Oxy. Tarek reacts to EG versus Cloud9. Something to keep in mind with the pro players is I think that there's some hype around Yay right now. From the last time that I researched, I think he did something impressive and people are talking about him. If anything stands out to you, just say so. I'm just going to continue scrolling. Looks like Grim uploaded again on his main channel. He did a pretty interesting wall. I think this is on, looks like Sunset. He did that one Sunset wall where he actually removed the divider in between. Do you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Have a interesting concept. He's got the Sage gun, buddy. It's actually a really good thumbnail. Pretty impressed with that one. The return of Randy. smartest sage moments. So here's a moment in time in which I may be like, okay, this is of note to me, which is this sage wall concept. So this got like a decent amount of views. You can see that the multiplier is 1.5, so it got 50% more views than usual. And so what I can do here is just kind of take note of this thumbnail, and typically what we want to do, how to identify a good idea, I guess some criteria to kind of define this before we dive further, is that we want to find like three examples. That's how you identify a trend. One is it could be a complete random occurrence. It could be what is considered an outlier. Two could be a coincidence. Again, it's not substantial proof, but once you get to three, now there is a pattern, right? It's not a coincidence. It's not an outlier. Now it is a pattern. So you need at least three examples. Always. Never, ever, never, ever, ever present one piece of evidence to say something's a good idea. Ever. Or two. Don't ever do that. Always three. That is like if we were to have a whole masterclass about statistics, somebody could probably come in and say, like, this not substantial evidence to even have three. But to keep things simple, it's like three is the absolute minimum. If you're doing less than three, you failed. So three. Then the other thing that we want to take into consideration is we'll just say like the simple premise of did it get more views than usual? And the way that we can answer this question is through those outlier multiples. So this one got 1.5x. We are typically looking for, we'll just write this as a sentence, 2x or more. The higher the better. The more views that it's getting, obviously the better. But 2x is generally the kind of area that we want to look for. Because sometimes you can get into a niche where high multiples don't happen as often, so it may be more scarce. Then the other thing is that you want to identify, did it reach or surpass my target views? So in our instance, our goal is 100K views, right? Or more.
Yeah, yeah,
So as we do this, we want to, I'm going to turn this into a question. As we do this, we want to answer these three questions. Is there at least three examples? Did it get more views than usual? And did it reach or surpass my target views? And so that's the criteria that we have for the ideate training. And it's a little bit more explicit in that training, but this is it in a more broad sense. So as we investigate this idea, and my idea right now, my kind of like the tangent or the as I'm browsing right now, I'm using my subscription feed. I've got all the Valorant subscribers, all the Valorant channels subscribed to. Just browsing, I see this interesting Sage wall. Grim is also a Sage player. I found it interesting. Now I'm on Protato Monsters channel, and I'm gonna just begin browsing his channel to see if there's more examples of this, and we'll go from there. So I'm just looking for Sage wall stuff, and particularly, I know that this thumbnail style has worked well for him, so I want to show you three examples of it meeting all of the criteria that I just discussed. And the way that I found this was there was no scientific method to me finding this. It was just me doing the research, me browsing YouTube, me becoming curious, and me trying to find out if there was more to this idea of the sage wall. And so here's another example of it. This one is a little bit lower. I'll take a screenshot because the links don't show the views or the multiplier. So this one's a 1.5. And we're not going to stop until I get three that meet this criteria. I may have already passed some too, so here's one. So if you see one that's similar, just say so. This one's good because it got 100K views. It's got a 2.6x multiple, which means that it did really well for his channel. And of course, it's got the exact same idea in it. So as we browse, looking for the same thing, and maybe as we browse, you can also notice that there's a lot of other Sage walls on this channel that could be good ideas for us to look into. But we're going to stay focused on this one so that this video doesn't end up being 3 hours long. Here's my second example of it. You can see that I got almost 100K views, 2.3K, outlier multiple, and it's the same idea. So I just want to find one more. It's like Ezekiel left us.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's my final example. 132,000 views, 3.2x multiple, and it's got the exact same idea. So according to this criteria, does this meet like the questions that I said here, in your opinion?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can see that we can verify that it does. This one is not 100K, but it's close enough. And truthfully, if we got 94K, I don't think we'd be upset about it. So the other thing that you might want to take into consideration is that the more recent, the better. And we're looking for ideas in the last 90 days. Now, this is not always going to happen. Sometimes, like I said, some of the ideas there may not be as many videos. People may not be posting as often. So sometimes you can't find it within the last 90 days. And for these videos, this one's 5 months, this one's 5 months, this one's 8 months, and this one, wait, what did I copy twice? Okay. So 5 months, 5 months, 8 months, and 10 months. But as you can see, it's the same idea. They're all multiples. And so I think it's reasonable to say there's a trend here. And, you confirmed that you also agree with that statement, right? So
Sorry, can you repeat that? You got cut off.
I just asked, like, if you agree that there's a trend here.
Yeah, definitely with this idea. Yeah.
So it's got Sage. And the idea itself is simply a thumbnail idea. We could turn this into a challenge, and the challenge could be trying to cancel diffuses, right? Like, because that's what that is. It's clutch moments, smart moments, and you could ideate a concept around this, and you could ask Grim to record something like this, but it's unlikely that he's going to do that because it's kind of an odd challenge, and he likes to play in Radiant, right? And he wants to win the game, and he wants to have fun, and he may not have fun if he's trying to just basically cancel diffuses on people using his Sage Wall. And he may not get his clips if he's using his Sage Wall to cancel diffuses, although one could argue that it would make for a good clip. So if we know Grim's brand, we can maybe just simply state like he typically uploads gameplay videos of him playing well in Radiant against other high level players. And that's typically his brand, right? If we put it all together, when the rubber hits the road, he is using Sage Walls, he's playing in high Radiant lobbies, he's playing against other high level players, and that's included in the videos. And we're showing gameplays of those things. So when we look at this idea, if you watch one of these Potato videos, we'll open one up really quickly.
Up in Valorant can be found in this video. Every clip included is 200 IQ gameplay in some way, shape, or form, and if you make these plays for yourself, you'll find a way to rank up easily.
So basically what this guy is saying is that this is a massive clip compilation of smart moments, and he's going to commentate the video, and he's going to give us insights and tell us what's going on and stuff like this. This is not what Grim does. On his main channel, he uploads clip compilations, but he doesn't give commentary. It's not having like an announcer style to it. It's succinct and it's focused on the enemy streamers that he's playing against, whereas this is just a bunch of clips that were either found or submitted. And so the content
Listen up, child.
style is different, right? And I'm not necessarily trying to make a smartest moments compilation, but I could. That could be one thing that you take from this. So let me just kind of write down some of my thoughts about this just to structure it out. Like, what exactly are my ideas? Well, I have a thumbnail idea. I have a video idea, which would be like something along the lines of I canceled. Let's make it simple. Let's say like Valorant, but I cancel every defuse or something like this. Or it could be Sage Wall, Sage counters, diffuses now, or something like this. You could obviously ideate on that more, but the premise of this idea would be to stop people from defusing the bomb specifically with the Sage Wall. So that's a video idea. Now, a concept idea that I have is to the smartest Sage moments in one compilation video, which you could do for Grim. You just need to compile smart Sage moments. And so now I have three different kind of different ideas that you could use in different ways. You could either use the thumbnail idea for a video, you could actually turn the idea into a video itself, or you could just use the concept of the video being smartest moments and showing Sage on the front of it as a kind of a compilation video. And so in some way the idea of this would be, smartest walls in Valorant, or smartest Sage main in Valorant or something like this with the thumbnail idea we see here. And there would be no challenge associated with it. So I'll actually say this is a challenge video idea. Do you see how I define his brand? So I know what I'm looking for. And then as I was browsing, I identified an idea that matched his brand. And then I proved it. And then I basically wrote down the ways that I could apply the idea.
Yeah, yeah.
So is there anything unclear about what I just did? Any areas that maybe you've understood from you've kind of understood conceptually, but when you try to go do it yourself, you are not able to get the same result that I just got here as I did this.
No, I'm just noticing like the hurdle that I'm creating for my own self is trying to come up with ideas, keeping in mind, like only keeping in mind the content that we have currently available, and not actually thinking about what we can do, like the possibilities of what we can do, what we can create, but instead like trying to fix the games that I have against some other streamers or like some high scoring games, and trying to just think of ideas that totally relate to that. I think like that's where I'm narrowing my approach.
Yeah, so, we've talked about this a lot. It's like you have a mindset that's very fixed. You've got to open your mindset when you're doing ideation, when you're doing research. You can't come into ideation with this premise that you're going to do the exact same thing that you did the last video, or for the last week, or the last month, or the last year. When you do ideation, you have to have an open mindset and allow ideas to come to you. I didn't go onto the subscription tab and try to like force an idea. I just allowed myself to browse these things and to see what was getting views. The mindset when you're ideating is not to fix something, it's not to execute, it is to see what is getting views. That is your objective. There's not a like a clear way to structure ideation time, because by nature ideation is creative, and you need to there can be structures in place to kind of facilitate the creative thinking, but something as simple as having an account where I subscribe to all the Valorant channels, I'm just browsing. I'm not going to look at a Curry video and be like, I'm going to force, it's going to be Sage to Radiant challenge. It's like this video is not getting any views, so that's just a stupid idea. all I am looking for is stuff that, grabs my attention or that I notice is getting a lot of views. And I'm particularly looking at things that are getting a lot of views. If something does grab my attention, I may take note of it, but if the purpose of my ideation is to find stuff that gets more views, then that's going to be the objective of my ideation, is that I'm just going to strictly look at stuff that's getting more views. And in particular, as I was browsing, I see this idea that matches the brand of Grim. And I'm like curious about this. So I'm like, all right, let me look this up. Let me see if there's more of this. And that's the research process, is like I landed on idea. Now, the idea did not prove itself. You have to prove it. You have to put in the work. And now I want to investigate. Now I want to go deeper. And so I could look up, I could pull up like a search, and I could type in smartest moments in Valorant if I want to look at that specific video title and see if there's other videos like it. And of course there is. And the first video that pops up is literally a similar video, top 100 smartest moments, and it's a Sage player. And so that could kind of further prove out this idea that the smartest Sage moments in one compilation video would be a good idea. And so I could further prove that out. But particularly to me, I wanted to see if there were other thumbnails that were like this. And the way that I was thinking about it was it might be cool to do a thumbnail like this. But the truth is that there's tons of ways that you could apply this, and that's why I wrote them out here. And the only way to allow that is to have an open mindset. I could create a challenge video idea called Valorant, but I cancel every defuse, and I could conceptualize it, and I could present it to Grim, and I could ask him to do it, and if he agreed, then we could make a challenge video like this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I think the other note is that, in addition, you don't want to have a fixed mindset, you want to have a open mindset. You also have to consider that the ideation process is the most important process in the entire process. And so if you skip it, it's like, dude, your life's going to be incredibly difficult if you skip the most important part of whatever you're doing, right? If you want to get married, if you skip the dating process, it's probably not going to go well for you because you're going to marry somebody and you're not going to know anything about them, and it's going to be weird. If you want to have a long-term business partner and you guys never even do a discovery call and you guys just sign the partnership agreements and you get into that business, you're like, dude, step number one was to meet the guy. And now you guys are locked into a 10-year partnership. That's kind of stupid. It would be very stupid to do a video and never have done step number one, which was to ideate it.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
So the truth is that ideas are everywhere. You just need to have the space and time to sit down to do ideation and not structure it and not try to force anything and not try to fix it in any type of frame. The only frame that you need is to understand the the brand of your channel, because I'm not going to look for ideas like the return of Randy. This doesn't appeal to me at all because I'm making videos about high level Radiant player who plays Sage. Return of Randy meet doesn't fit with that at all, right? I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what Randy means.
Yeah, yeah,
A more random idea on the same screen though might be like, after 388 days, Ghost to Immortal is officially complete. And if I was curious about this, I could be like, oh wow, like he's doing a ghost only challenge. Like, I wonder if that's a viral idea. And so then I go investigate ghost only, and then I could prove out that idea, and I could say, Grim, you should try a ghost only challenge. Or I could find gameplays in which he gets a lot of kills with the ghost for whatever reason, and then I make a video about how he used the ghost. But I don't want to just make a ghost only video, right? Because in the same way, I don't want to just sign a 10-year partnership deal with some guy that I've never met. I don't want to marry a woman that I've never even talked to before. I don't want to be a dumbass who doesn't do step number one of whatever he's doing in life. And so, what I want to do is I want to go and investigate that idea and actually make sure that it is something that can get more views than usual before I go and make a whole ghost video. Because when you're investigating it, you could easily realize like this ghost thing doesn't make any sense. This doesn't get more views than usual. If I go investigate the return of Randy, this would be a stupid idea for us to try to do because it's I don't even know what that means. And it's unlikely that Randy is a viral idea. Now, I could be totally wrong as well. I could go research the return of Randy and maybe Return of Randy is the most viral idea that the Valorant niche has ever seen in its entire existence. But you have to have the intellectual curiosity to do the research, and you have to have the discipline to actually follow the criteria. Which is so those are some things
Yeah.
that are really applicable. So as it relates to the last thing, how to steal like an artist, I think that this is kind of the synthesis component of it because as I looked at this idea of the Sage Wall canceling the diffuse, it is in many we can apply it in many different ways. And like I said, for Grimm's videos, I have found the best success just doing gameplay videos of him playing Sage against other high level players. So I most likely just want to take the thumbnail idea. And if I take the thumbnail idea, this is kind of the basis of it. I'm going to take it, all of it, but I'm going to make it better. Or I'm going to make it different. So you look at this idea and you're like, okay, that's obviously a Sage player. It's meeting the criteria of like this visual stimulus is getting more clicks than usual. It's getting more views than usual. Now, how do we apply this to Grimm's channel? That's the question. You can use it as a thumbnail, but how are you going to make it different? How are you going to make it better? The question is normally going to like the question of different or better is like, well, what is our brand? He's a high level Radiant player who is known for playing Sage and he plays against other high level players. So, with that being said, like how would you take this idea, specifically use it as a thumbnail and make it better or different? In your own words.
It's like if we want to make it better, we can improve upon the design aspects to see if like thumbnail that we're saying have anything design wise that we can improve.
What do you think can be improved design wise about this thumbnail?
I like the last one the most because it's like it has the most clean background.
Yeah.
So probably like choose a scene that has less clutter in the background to mainly focus on the like the wall that is going to be raised to stop the diffuse.
Yeah. You have to take into consideration that these are bomb sites, so the the format
Yeah.
is that there has to be some type of wall or box and it has to be shielding the person that's diffusing and he's walling through the box. So there's only a limited amount of these areas. You have to take that into mind. You can't just like pick a uncluttered background because there's only X amount of these to start with.
Yeah, yeah. The one that came to my mind was like on Sunset on A site that has like clean walls on site. Other than that, I was thinking of like maybe including something that straight out says that he stopped the diffuse, but that would be adding to the thumbnail and making it more cluttered instead. Yeah, like the plant behind that box on the first image.
Yeah. There's a lot of areas that you can do.
Yeah.
Anything else that would make it different or better?
Can't really think of anything right now.
So I'd say this is like a very important part of the process is being able to finish. If you wanted to steal this straight up, you could, but you wouldn't really be doing anything different, and it wouldn't really be matching Grim because I don't know if Grim does this or if he has done this. You could ask him, and you could put a clip of it in the intro sequence or something like this, but based on the brand as it specifically relates to the thumbnails, is a lot of the thumbnails are exaggerated walls or exaggerated placements or something like this. And you can see that throughout these thumbnails. And there's no text, they're pretty clean, and we try to focus on good color theory and those kind of things. So this would be one of those circumstances where it's unlikely that he will do this exact thing in the game, but we want to exaggerate just the funny use of the walls, using the sage and his wall and her wall as kind of a symbol that he is doing sage wall gimmicks in the video. So how can you make this more conformed with that idea or exaggerate it or make it better?
Oh yeah, yeah. One thing that comes to mind is I think we did a thumbnail on Grimm's channel where we showed the enemies frozen inside the wall, kind of. So maybe we could like show the enemy defusing and show them instead of showing that the wall is going to be raised, we show that the wall is raised and they're stuck in it.
You could potentially do that. Try to show this thumbnail. It's quite a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah, it was an old
This one
video.
right here. Sage buff is too
Yeah,
OP. Yeah, so they're like frozen inside of it. And there's a slow on the ground, so you can see that the slow is of it's trying to suggest that they were walking in the sage slow and they turned into ice cubes,
yeah,
which is cool. And you could potentially use that to, and that's where that synthesis just occurred. Is if you just copy people straight up, just not really that good of a YouTuber, truthfully. You're not doing, you're not stealing like an artist. You're basically just a copycat, and that's not what artists do. Artists make things different or better. And so this is the component where you really have to force yourself to make it work for you, make it different or better. And for us, we have so much like stuff that we've already done that we can just point to, okay, they're frozen inside of the sage wall. So what if you showed the wall like he was frozen inside of it? Or instead of trying to place a wall, what if you showed the sage with a slowdown on the ground and then the enemy frozen like this other thumbnail shows? And you have to get creative with it because you're trying to make it adapted to you. And it goes back to your brand. You have to think like what makes sense for your brand. And if the constraint is that you can't just copy it, you have to make it different or better, then how are you going to do that? And so I say you're going to take it. I'm just going to say take it. I think that's more simple. You're going to take it, you're going to make it better or different, and then the new idea is going to be so good that it looks like something totally new that you came up with. Now everyone credits you as the genius, right? And that's how to still like an artist because an artist will take something that's great, they'll adjust it, make it better or different, and then it looks so incredibly innovative that everybody's like, wow, this is crazy. And then they give you all the praise, or they say, like, wow, like, Grim's making these videos that are like, great thumbnail, like whatever the comments are saying about thumbnails, I don't know. But you kind of get the gist. And so this happens a lot in art and also on YouTube. A lot of people think Mr. Beast is a genius, and there's this video that he made called Hit This Target, and rightfully so. I mean, he makes a lot of great videos. It's called Hit the Target, Win $300,000, and it's got 200 million views. And if you look up this idea, he took it from a series of viral videos. This one got 59 million views, and 10 years ago, this one got almost 10 million views 10 years ago, 9.5 6 years ago, 2.5 3 years ago. And you could continue to look up evidence of this particular thumbnail, and you'd see that it's gone viral almost every time. And this was a long time ago, so like 60 million views 10 years ago was an insane amount, and nobody was getting those types of views. So Mr. Beast did this process and made a video that was different or better. What did he do differently? Well, he didn't make a video about himself dropping a basketball off a dam. He created a whole challenge video with that particular thing being a part of the video. And then he also included the prize of winning $300,000. So, I would say that's quite different and it's quite better than the original premise. And that's what you have to get good at. Is if you want to steal like an artist, you've got to make it work for you based on your brand. And so that's kind of funny because ultimate conclusion of this is that you have to figure it out using creative thinking. So, is there any questions or concerns or
No, 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 that makes sense. Like I think this has been repeated a lot of times now, but it's like every time I fall to the same fallacy again by not keeping my mind open while ideation and thinking too much about like only the games that I have to use for the ideas, and that really restricts a lot of things, and I'm not able to look for better things. Like just saw that you don't really need to. You identified a good thing, and instead of like shunning it away because we can't really do something like this, you just took a part of it, maybe a thumbnail, and created an idea around that potentially we can do. Like we can ask the creator to do that, or if not, we can like look up clips similar to this and make a video out of it using the same concept.
more realistically, you could use it as a thumbnail?
Yeah, yeah,
The smartest stage moments would be a good compilation video, though, for sure. And it could be 20 minutes, and it could just have all these really strange, odd, gimmicky, smart plays, and that would probably do well. And if you wanted to make this the thumbnail, you could. And like I said, you want to make it better, so you could edit some of the design elements of this. Maybe another thought is like, well, what distinguishes Grim from a lot of the other Sage players? It's that he's Grim and that he also plays against high level Radiants and other popular people. So you could indicate that one of these people is a Radiant, or you could indicate that this is Grim. In the thumbnail, you could say, like how people have me text, you could have a text that says Grim and then an arrow pointing to him, or something like this. And so there's very simple ways that you could differentiate the thumbnail because this one, for example, says 200 IQ, but what if it said Grim? Then people are all of a sudden, it's different because Grim is known as the Sage Man, and his own uniqueness and his own brand is attached to the fact that people, it is saying Grim is synonymous with saying Sage. So there's a lot
yeah.
of ways that you can make it different or better, but the reality is you've got to get good at being creative. And what I mean by that is creativity is not something that you force, it's something that flows. And if you try to restrict that, then you're not going to be creative at all. And these yeah, so that should help. And I think too, I was going to say about like you have the content already and you're trying to think about what do I already have. That's already the wrong mindset. You need to start with ideation, and then you can figure out the content that you have. it all is going to start with ideation. You're not going to be open to all of the good ideas that are out there if you automatically have fixed your mindset to like, this is the content that I have. And it doesn't make sense to use Sage diffusing or canceling someone diffusing the bomb because the video that I'm working on is him versus Tarek. You just like shut yourself off to a good idea because of that. And so the simple solution is to just stop doing that. Just straight up, like, don't gather the content before you've done your ideation. Do ideation, then go gather the content. And the truth when you're working with a content creator is that if you think about it from a scarce perspective, you will always be like, well, he didn't do like that's not what we have and there's not enough ideas. You'll always be operating from this place. But the truth is that you're working with a content creator. And so if you come up with a really good idea and you cater it towards that content creator and you ask them to do it, there's a likelihood that they will do it and it'll work out. And that's thinking from an abundant mindset. It's like there's tons of ideas, there's tons of opportunities. I can ask the content creator to do it, and there's if he says no, there's another opportunity to ask him. If he says yes, then that's an opportunity to get more views, and there's going to be more ideas, and that's the abundant mindset. And so part of your issue is not only just approaching it from a fixed mindset, but also approaching it from a place of scarcity, where you have a scarce amount of content, there's a scarce amount of ideas that apply to that, and you're not even opening yourself up to the reality that if you did find some of these good ideas, you could ask the content creator to go create it for you. And even with a smartest moments thing like this is a very blatantly obvious idea that you could easily do like once a month if you wanted to. But you have to decide that it is an idea worth pursuing. And it starts with knowing that it's an idea, proving that it's worthy of pursuing, and then actually deciding to do it. But if you never even open yourself up to that possibility, you will just gloss over this every time and focus on the tracker links that you're compiling in the carts and never be able to get more views than usual. And so it's that mindset shift from scarce to abundant, fixed to open.
Yeah, yeah,
So is there anything that remains for you to be able to put this into action?
no, 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 that was helpful.
I'm going to add some stuff like here's the starting point of my idea, and I'm going to put this video, I'm going to tuck it underneath, and then I'm going to say here's my evidence. Just to make sure everything's organized. And I will say one last thing is that this process can be applied. You should primarily do this at the beginning, and that should be the bulk of your time and attention spent on ideation. But you could do this at any juncture of making a video. You could do this with scripting. You could do this with transitions. You could do this with how should I do my outro screen? You could do this with how should I tag my videos? How should I do the color grade on my editing or something like this? Like you can literally do this at any juncture in the video, and it's always the same process. You go and identify a good idea. You try to find other examples of this idea and then make it your own. That's the simple process. And if you like the way that somebody is introducing their video and then you realize other people are introducing their videos in the same way, they use like maybe a particular structure of their hook. It's said in the same way, but maybe just different content, then you could pull that and turn that into your hook. And a lot of the scripts that I write for Grim videos and a lot of the scripts that I write in general are based on other scripts that I've seen that work really well for other people. and then I've written them, and then they've done well, and then I've done them for the client, and it's like I said, it's done well, and then so I do it for another client, and it does well, and then you start to build up this massive database in your mind of things that typically do well based on the stuff that you've already proven that works. And as you do that over time, like ideation may seem very unstructured and like it's a waste of time, but over time you start to amass so much knowledge of what works and what doesn't work that you don't have to spend so much time just like, browsing YouTube for like 6 hours, just looking at videos on the homepage or in the suggested feed. You can actually find an idea, quickly identify if it's working, make it your own, and move on with your life. And even in some instances, not even have to do the research, but be able to look at a content creator like Grim and be like, you know what would work well for Grim is if we did a smartest moments compilation. I don't even need to do research. I already know that it's well proven that those work. And that's, the benefit of doing something like that. I don't even have to look at Grim's channel. I know that if he did a challenge video where he didn't use guns or he did something like sniper only to Radiant or martial only to Radiant, he would get a lot of views from that. I already know. I don't even have to look up at all. I just know that that would work well because I've seen it work so many times before that it's a proven idea. I don't need to like go and rehash the work again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Any remaining things that you want to add or questions before I end this video?
No, 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 that was good. It makes it a lot more clearer.
Good. So if you guys enjoyed this video, just be sure to watch this one next. And if you want to be a part of these coaching calls or ask a question, first just join our Discord linked in the description below, and I'll see you inside. Peace.